Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tim Bardsley-Smith here. I'm one of the main photographers at AMB. I'm also one of the judges for the AMB Photo Awards presented by Shimano. I just wanted to have a quick chat to a few guys about the categories and just give you some hints and tips and tricks and kind of like what we're looking for when it comes to the categories, just to help you take some photos or choose your photos that you might want to submit. The first category is the hero shot. Now, a hero shot is something that you're often asked to produce as a photographer, particularly for mountain biking. It's often used as a cover, a DPS, or just an opener for a really nice article. And it also needs to be a really dynamic shot, something that's going to pull in the viewer, you know, make them pick up a magazine. Just needs to have like an X factor about it, and that's really what we're looking for when it comes to a hero shot. Framing is also quite important, particularly for a cover shot. It needs to be vertical, like portrait orientation. It also needs to, you know, have space for cover lines and a header, and that's the same if it's going to be used as a DPS for an opener. Also, location's really key. Whilst it's not imperative, you just it needs to be thought about. You can't have like a really confusing, distracting background. It kind of has to be either quite expansive and amazing, or quite clean. One of the other categories is the pan shot. Now, pan shot's been around in cycling photography since it's been photographed, really. A really steady hand and the confidence to go with a really low shutter speed all really help to create a really smooth pan shot. Location for a pan shot's also super important. You need to know what the background's going to look like when it's blurred, and also the way the lighting is falling. This can have a drastic effect on how well your pan shot will turn out. So they're all things that need to be considered. You really need to think about the rider's movements through those fractions of a second that you take the pan shot. It's all really key to having everything look really crisp and sharp, and also tell that story of movement that you're looking for. Okay, wide angle shots are really popular with our mountain biking. Particularly here in Australia, we have a really dense bush, and it's really hard to get off the track to take something long from the side. So quite often you resort to things like fisheyes and really wide angle lenses. It's also good in like really expansive scenery if you're shooting overseas and stuff like that. It helps to just really tell the story about where mountain biking can take you. And that's a big part of why people ride, just that exploratory sense. If you're shooting with a wide angle lens in really tight confines, it's really important to be aware of how the lens might distort your image. Like this fisheye I'm using here, you know, I can put it up really high and it'll make me look really skinny, which is great. I really like fisheyes and I always tend to go for them. I just think the distortion is more natural, but perhaps that's just because I'm so used to looking at it. Now, if you're shooting wide because you want to show off a really expansive scenery, it's a really good idea to pull back a little and get a small rider in a really big scene. It shows the scale that you often want to show when it comes to big mountains and amazing valleys. Framing is also really important for a wide shot. You don't want the rider to be in the center of the frame. You really want them either left or right. You want to see where the rider's been or where they're going. It just helps tell a story. Okay, for the category detail, really looking for those close-up shots, often singling out a single detail. It can be very powerful. It also lets the viewer use their imagination a lot more. It could be a close-up of a pretty leaf or a flower with a blurred rider in the background. It could be a dusty chain or a really worn grip. These tell stories, and they're different shots from your standard riding shot. You need a variety in a lot of your photo stories, and this is one of the best ways to do it. Thanks so much for listening. I really hope that these little hints and tips and tricks and a kind of like an insight into what the judges might be looking for will really help you to create these amazing inspirational shots. I'm really looking forward to seeing them, and I really hope you guys enjoy the process of taking them.